Anyway, I don't know if I had any teachers that no one else had, because Cassie and I were so similar in age.
You had quite a few that I never had. Like,
Like
what's
who?
his name? Your history teacher. A
Good old
couple.
what's his name?
What?
Yeah, what's his name?
What?
You had okay, so you had at least one Bible teacher who was I never had, and then at
Oh,
least one
that was Mr.
history.
Burks.
I had
Burks.
Mr.
He
Burks. How did you not
was.
have Mr. Burks?
Mr. Burks. I
Yeah.
might have had Mr. Burks. I
He
don't
was
remember
not
his name.
particularly memorable. He was your
Oh,
typical
he was.
run-of-the-mill
He was
He's
kind
the
of
one.
weird.
conservative
Oh my! So we were
Baptist.
going over a verse about how the
Oh
wise.
my word.
What was it?
Oh,
The
that
wise
was
lips.
appalling.
The lips of the wise pour out knowledge. It just comes naturally to us.
Who is us?
And it was
Who
not.
is
It
us?
was not joking.
So
okay? I could have
humble.
gotten
No,
it
it
if it were
wasn't.
joking, but it was
Well,
not.
you
It was
see,
so
he
good.
he is so obvious and terrible when he tells a joke. Even if the joke is funny, the delivery is so terrible.
He just sits there and
I
like
feel like that was
he
my
just
primary
sits there
takeaway
and
from Burks.
grins, and it's
it was so.
That was my primary takeaway from Mr. Burks is he tries to joke and he can't. He just can't pull it off. He seems like a genuinely trying to be humorous and it doesn't work. He can't do it. He physically cannot tell a joke.
I don't know if it's worse than like Mr. Zyla, who really just knows he's never gonna joke about anything in his entire life. Or I don't know what's worse. People who think they're funny and are not, or people who know they're not funny and never try.
the worst
People
part.
who think they're funny. Definitely.
It's so
Absolutely.
cringy, but at least it gives some life, you know?
So,
But it's like the whole, oh, kind of sick to your stomach type of feeling rather than just, I'm bored. It's, oh, you shouldn't have tried that.
the worst part of it was that year I had Mr. Burks for Bible and Mr. Zyla for history.
Oh,
And
I'm
guess
sorry. How
who?
did you survive?
Guess who would have been my teacher for those classes?
It would have been
McBride?
Yes,
Mr. McBride.
Mr. McBride.
That's
Oh,
so
that was
so
sad.
sad.
Did-
I
you
never
never had-
had Mr. McBride.
You never had Mr.
Oh
McBride.
But I
my
watched
goodness,
so
you've
many
been robbed of the Abeka experience.
That's
if you didn't have
truly
Mr.
the
McBride.
only-
Like he's probably the best teacher.
That's
as far as
sad that there's an entire generation
He was so
growing
good.
up without Mr. McBride in their life.
I feel like I saw some sort of random homeschool meme that said something to that effect.
Yeah.
One time there was some sort of meme page that released a bunch of Abeka memes, and it was amazing. It was so weird, but it was amazing.
You have to be really deep into the inside jokes to get him. It was great.
It's-
I remember that. It was
it-
primarily Mr. Smith, though.
It can
If I
be
remember right.
really,
Mr. Smith,
really
I think
sketchy
some
in this
misstates
community,
it.
guys. I hesitate to admit I've been a part of it.
But yeah, so
Mr. Burks was the one who said it was him it was he who said that Mary was the only woman in the line mentioned in the line
Oh
of
yeah,
Jesus.
that's right.
Oh yeah,
What?
so
It was
blatantly
pure
anti-scriptural.
baloney. I don't
Excuse
think he read
me,
his Bible.
Ruth.
I think he just reread everything that
who
talks
was the-
about woman submission and nothing else.
Who was
honestly.
the gal with the red cord at Jericho? Why can I
There
not think
was
of her name?
Ruth. There was Rahab. There
Rahab.
was,
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Mary,
There's
obviously.
Esther's not. No.
There
Esther's
was-
not in the line of Jesus.
There was one other person, I think. It was some random person, like Deborah, only not Deborah.
Huh.
But
Yeah, so those are the two I remember
So,
for sure. Are
Eve.
Rahab.
I don't think
Eve,
Eve was.
yeah.
Was Eve mentioned? Yeah.
Well, she was definitely in the line of
Bible.
Jesus.
Well,
No.
obviously.
Yeah.
Since everybody.
Yeah.
He may have been referring to a specific one of the so and so begat
Specifically
so-and-so.
one of the gospels
One of
that
those
goes through.
things.
Yeah.
But I don't.
No,
it still
because
had
I went to
in
that
the
passage
list, so-
and
Yeah.
those
Yeah,
four. I
that
remember
was
four
the kind
were
of
in
teacher
the list.
Mr. Burks
But
was.
anyway,
Yeah. Seriously. Read the Bible.
but
Yeah, this has turned out to be
Okay.
kind of slamming
Okay.
rather than. Anyway,
on
moving
to
on.
the positive side of things.
But the negative's so much more fun.
Mr. Smith was probably the funniest teacher I had had, just because all of his stories, all of his jokes.
Mr. Smith was
So great.
goofy.
Yeah.
He wasn't so, like, Mr. McBride was a more refined humorist.
More
Mr. Smith was
dry.
just goofy.
Mr. Smith.
Mr.
Yeah.
Smith was the king of dad jokes. That was
That's
all it
very
was.
true.
It was just dad
Mr.
jokes. and it
Fitch
got
was
to the
pretty good
point
at that
it was-
too.
Mr. Fitch
But
was
not
great.
as frequently.
That was great. His reviews were the best.
There are reviews for Rebecca teachers.
No, review days.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
For
I'm like,
exams.
there's a Rate My Professor for Rebecca
That would
teachers?
have been great.
This would be awesome.
You don't have a
We should
choice.
invent it.
It's either mom or whoever's on the DVD, so
There-
there's no point in rating the professors.
There was an incredibly hilarious
That's true.
moment in the last DVD, and it was a new video. But I don't know if I can explain it properly to do it justice. But it was a class with no class clowns, and this gal just randomly floored Mr. Smith. It was so hilarious.
Lord Mr. Smith meaning?
Okay, so it was a review game, and Mr. Smith showed me this video.
I remember this. That was so good.
And he asked the question, like, he gave hints when people couldn't get it, and he was talking about what was it? He was talking about, he was giving hints and saying he's handsome like me, and then one gal came up and answered out of the blue, Charles the Bald.
Who? Oh, Charles
the
the Bald. Oh
That
my
was
goodness.
so bad. Oh my word. Oh gracious. But I didn't get that iconic video with Mr. Smith, but I got a lot of good stuff from that.
There was a lot of Brooke and Martin peppered throughout the year on that one. It was like, there'd be...
It continued into the next year, too.
Martin would answer a
little
question
bit.
wrong, and he'd be like, Brooke, do you want to correct him? You know, and just be little things, but it was funny because it was a running joke.
It's like a reality TV show.
Wouldn't it have been... It would have been poetic if they ended up married. Brooke and Martin.
Probably knowing
They probably
Hudson.
We're
did.
not gonna go
Probably
there.
dated.
Didn't he joke about that?
I don't know. I don't
think he
remember.
did.
He probably did.
Yeah, I feel
Knowing
like
Mr.
that would
Smith,
have been
he
in
probably
character
did.
for him. What I really wish would have happened, Mr. Smith and Kenny. That would have been amazing.
Nobody would have learned anything. In
That
the
would have been a
entire-
disaster.
That's true, but it would have
So
been
good.
entertaining. But Mr. Howe was very good, very, very jokingly, not extremely funny when I looked back and watched the videos, but they were very funny because I was a kid back in that time and I remembered.
Right, and that's why, like, I don't look back and I don't remember him as one of the funniest teachers. Because his humor was for that age level. And it was just straight up goofy, nonsense, random, like, he'd make up words, and it was funny for that age group. And it kept you interested in the class. Yeah.
It was easier than falling off a log backwards into a swamp at midnight. I
Exactly.
still use that. Oh, and what was it at camp? I said Ezra was talking about something and he mispronounced something rather horribly. So I said your emphasis is on the wrong syllable. And
Oh, I
he
still use that one a
He just
lot.
cracked up so much.
Yep.
It's like, dude, this is Mr. Howe. I'm quoting my second grade teacher right now, so that's where your humor level is.
Wow. Okay.
And an insult coming in hot. Oh, man.
But yeah.
Hey, I never had the courage to jokingly insult people when I was face to face, so why not do it behind their backs?
Oh yeah, that's
the best
yeah,
place to do it.
amazing. Okay.
Moving on.
Yeah. As far as
I hope nobody listens to this who knows him.
okay. Okay.
Anybody that knows Ezra already knows where his humor level is.
Autumn
so
probably didn't make it to this point. Please comment if you made it to this point.
We actually might need to split this.
I think we need to do parts for this
one.
because
Part
this
one,
is
part two.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you have since been listening to part 2 for quite some time now. Welcome.
Anyway, so I'm trying to go down the list. So Bible, I don't think I forgot anybody. Math, I didn't really have any memorable teachers except for Mr.
Mr. Collins was pretty good for math. He was boring,
Negative.
but he was a good
Negative.
I never had
negative.
Mr.
He taught-
Collins.
I hated that class.
I
No,
would have
he-
had Mr. Collins last year, I think.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
year.
you would
This year.
you would have had him for geometry
Yeah. No,
last year.
this year.
No, this year.
This year.
Because you didn't have you never geometry.
Algebra 1 and
No, I
Algebra 2.
had geometry in
freshman
11th.
Yes, yes,
11th
because you're
grade, and
you're
it was terrible.
technically
It was
behind.
the most terrible year.
in your
nobody cares.
because everyone else took geometry last year, but
No,
you didn't.
I'm not
'cause
behind. I'm technically
You're not
ahead because I took Algebra 2.
You did take
and
Algebra
I get
2,
to
you're
come
just
back,
going back.
and sit in my room and watch as they struggle, and it's so funny. Anyway,
Yeah, I never got people who couldn't understand algebra. I never had to study it at all.
I had no issues with algebra.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say
didn't
no
have too
issues.
many issues.
Mrs. Howe could be confusing sometimes.
See,
And we had
like
to
I
look
said,
up
I never paid
stuff.
attention to the
I
teacher
didn't get
in
the
math.
privilege of having Mrs. Howe for algebra. I got Miss Smith for algebra.
That's just sad.
Mrs. Howe for
Miss
earlier
Smith-
ones. Miss Smith.
She was, if you didn't know literally anything about math, Miss Smith would have been a good teacher, but she spent so much time going over the basics of the basics that she never had time to actually teach the concept that we were supposed to learn that day. She'd just throw it in and then do a
too
bonus video.
many
It was so
terms.
bad. Yeah, she was really big on the terms.
Terms.
That was
terms,
algebra 2, though.
Terms.
It
That was
was.
the same way
terms,
with
terms,
Mrs. Howe.
terms.
You
It's
got
just
tested
the
over the
Becca
same stuff.
curriculum,
Yeah.
which stinks because terms are not,
Which was
very
written by
important.
Mrs. Howe.
and the more
Right.
the more
That was one of the things.
practice you get.
In college, the
math.
terms literally don't matter. Like my calculus professor like shows me 8 different ways that people he knows calls like derivatives and stuff. He shows like a ton of different symbols and a ton of different. It's like
Today my geometry
You
it
need to
teacher-
know
doesn't matter.
terms in
It
college
literally
in
doesn't matter.
stats. Outside of that,
Yeah.
you don't have to know terms.
Today my geometry teacher said that if you don't know the name for the shape of a polygon, you can just put the number dash gone.
Oh my word.
okay, but who had
That's
trouble with
taking it a
polygons though?
No one really had trouble. She just prefaced
Thank
it
you.
because she taught public school for such a long time.
Like it's just
I had a college
prefixes,
professor
so
said we could do
whatever.
that, but
I mean, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
it
My
doesn't.
point
But also,
is
you should know
that
it.
there's such a low.
But also, you have Google. You can ask Siri, "What's a heptagon? How many sides does it have?"
What if you
You
don't
know.
have cell coverage? And also, that's an English
Why are
thing.
you
should
learning
know.
shapes when you don't have cell coverage?
You should know. No, you learn the shapes, so you know what the shapes are when you don't have cell coverage. You should.
when you're trying to figure
You
out
should
the
know those
perimeter
from an
of a
English
shape you
perspective.
have.
That's true. I mean,
Why do you
really,
should
know
know
we
what
learn
the
these
words mean.
prefixes
You should
in
be able-
first and second grade. So, like, why should you not know these?
the whole English thing of like learning parts of words so you can put them together. That is so useful. I cannot tell you how useful that is. Learning the roots, learning the prefixes, and learning the suffixes. You can learn any word just by looking at it, and you don't have to know exactly what it means, but you can know pretty dang close what it means. And I've used that so much, and that's something Becca English did.
My
That's something my
classmates are
music
struggling
professor
so
thinks.
much with
Excuse me,
vocabulary.
ma'am. I was speaking.
And we've only had like 10 words
Okay,
so far.
fine.
And I used to have, 10 every single week. Okay, I have learned to railroad because you people railroad me all the time.
You're
Now
the
I have
youngest.
the
It's our right.
You are
your
outvoted.
I have the right to do it, and I shall do it as much as possible. Anyway,
Wow,
before we
becoming
got
a
onto
rebellious
this weird-
teenager.
I do not rebel against. Well, I kind of do rebel against my parents occasionally, but my point is, before
Back to
all
the
this,
topic.
we were talking about my favorite teachers. Anyway, nobody was really memorable in math except for Mr. Mr.
Oh
Okay. We're going to get through this quick because you people were interrupting me. Anyway, in English, there were two really fun teachers that I had for English. My favorite was Mrs. Schmuck. She was so... Are you okay?
No, I am not.
Anyway, so Mrs. Schmuck was really fun. She told a lot of stories. She was always happy, and it was great. Oh, she was so fun. And then, if you're not gonna pay attention to me, we could just go home.
We are home.
I know.
Is that what your teachers say?
Okay.
That's what teachers say in college.
Mhm. Yeah. So
And people take them up on it.
Mrs. Thompson.
Absolutely.
So I would say Mrs. Schmuck was really fun, but Mrs. Thompson was really funny. And
Yes.
it was.
Mrs. Thompson was
She
great.
was the best.
She was amazing.
I was so mad when she replaced Mrs. Schmuck. She didn't replace her, but like I had Mrs. Schmuck the year before, and then I had Mrs. Thompson,
Yeah,
and I was
that's
so
the same
sad,
kind of
and I
thing.
was so sad. I was
Okay,
angry,
so I went from
and then
Mr. Ryan Busey to Mrs. Thompson.
No, wait.
And that was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
So
It was Mr. Busey to
Mrs. Thompson
Mrs. Thompson.
was okay after Mrs. Schmuck, and that's saying something. Like
She
those are
was
big shoes to fill.
amazing after Mr. Busey. I'm
I bet.
sorry. Actually, I'm not really sorry, but anyway.
dead air.
Dead air.
Your belly button is weird.
Man.
Okay.
Nessa,
Moving on.
keep going before we
So
start talking
after
about belly
that-
buttons.
I don't
Too late.
remember what norm. Okay.
Okay, so that's the song we did a couple weeks ago in church.
Refiner's
I could
Fire.
not- Refiner's Fire. The verse, it sounds so dang close to the opening line of the belly button song. I was cracking up so
I
bad.
tried to catch
Oh my
Cassie's
goodness.
glance during that, but she was just staring into space.
I couldn't because
So
I was
great.
gonna just break out in the wrong song.
I must admit, I was.
It was so
I
good.
was. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. So I forgot what comes after English in Abeka.
Whatever you want, and
Anyway,
you're homeschooled.
science. Science.
I always did science and save history for
I
last
didn't
because it was my
really-
favorite.
Yeah. I didn't.
I would switch it up depending on the day. I actually started doing 7 classes every day so that I'd finish school
the last little bit.
a couple weeks early.
I worked, so I didn't do that, and I was way too type A to switch up my class order. Are you kidding me?
The last little bit of this lesson, I think I did English first, if I
Okay, so
remember
my
right.
senior year, I finished my Bible school year, in, what was it, March?
Oh,
and I was just
so
done.
jealous.
And I had no
I
more
did
Bible
that
for the
for the
rest of the year,
last-
and it was great.
I did do that
So,
for the last
yeah.
little bit, I think. Do you remember? I did that, right?
You did that for a little bit, and you finished like a week or 2 early.
I think
so-
it was 2 weeks. 2 weeks early.
Yeah, it was good.
So it was fun.
Definitely recommend that to anybody still in Abeka.
Like anybody is gonna be listening
With
to this.
parental permission.
With parental permission, of course. But most parents probably wouldn't let their children do 1.4 speed. Anyway, so we were on science. I didn't really have any notable science teachers other than Dr. Vanaha. He was
Miss Stancil.
well, other than Miss Stancil too.
Yes.
Miss
you can't
Stancil was-
forget her or
yeah.
leave her out.
Miss Stancil was great.
We got the kidneys and the liver.
Miss
I feel like
Stancil
at
was
some
and
time
the
she
heart.
did that with insect categories too. I seem to remember
Probably.
that was a pretty common thing for her to do. And then I always associate the Horton Hears a Who. It's snowing in the
Yes,
Miss
yes.
Stancil,
That is
so
like
I
the
always,
closest thing to a cartoon
I'm
rendition
quoting-
of Miss
yes.
Stancil.
But Miss Stancil was great with Kenny. Like, I mean, it was it wasn't as great as Mr. Vanaha, but Miss Stansel and Kenny were really good. Oh, and Mr. Vanaha was just the best teacher I think I've had. He he was super fun, but I learned so much.
Okay, he
He
taught how the formulas
he
were
made
invented,
me-
and that saved my butt on a couple tests because I forgot what the formulas were, but using the information given in
Your
the...
butt.
I'm sorry, I should not have cursed. Forgive me.
Okay.
Oh,
I was able to rederive the formula because I'd been taught how it came to be, and therefore I was able to reinvent the formula and get the correct answer. So yeah, that was what I really liked about Dr. Banaha, as
I am
opposed
of
to
the opinion that a formula should not be taught without teaching you how it was
Right.
derived.
One of my teachers
Because
says, "Why
that's
would you
so
go
important
through
to
that much
understanding
work?
it.
You need to just learn the formula. The formula is there for a reason, and
I
we
think
don't
that
need
works
to
for a
learn
couple different, like, people either want it because, so like me, I'm terrible at memorization, so I want to know how it was derived because that's going to make sense to me, and if it makes sense, I will remember it. There are other people that are great at memorization that will just memorize it straight out, and they don't care where it came from or how you got it. So I think it's how your brain works. But yeah, I like to know how it was derived.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway,
that rabbit trail's over.
so yeah, Mr. Vanaha really he inspired a 1 year temporary love for science. And it was great. He taught everything so well, and I understood it so well. Oh, man, that was the best. And then history, obviously, Mr. Smith. What are you mumbling? Or mouthing?
Nothing.
Mr. Smith.
Absolutely nothing.
We already covered. He was a great history teacher. Much preferred him in history rather than Bible. But then again, I like history better than.
I feel like we're
Anybody in
seeing
the
a
Bible
theme here of
program
just
really
not
just-
liking a Becca Bible at all.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I also
That goes
For
without
me to
saying
like
at this
Mr.
point.
Fitch in Bible
That's saying something.
he was good, and then he was gone, and Nessa never had him. So yeah,
I got Mr. Burks and
and he was removed from the Christmas card, which
Mr.
means he really had a
Anderson.
falling
Oh, yeah,
out.
that's right.
I think Mrs. Schmuck was still on the Christmas card like a couple years ago. So anyway,
Last year's Christmas card was very sparse, and it was a bunch of teachers that I didn't really like. I'm kind of glad I got out while I did, because they would have replaced every last good teacher. Anyway, so I'm trying to think. Mr. Smith was really good in history. Smithopolis.
I remember
The
that.
Adventures of Smithopolis. Uh,
he got a lot of Smithopolis in economics. Oh my
imagine.
goodness. So my senior year, I had Mr. Zyla in American government. I don't think I've ever once seen anything so incredibly boring.
That's the only class I had Mr. Zyla for.
Yeah.
So
It was
boring.
so slow.
I was constantly
Oh.
comparing American government with Mr. Zyla to 7th grade. It had to just been American history with Mr. Doobie. And
Yeah.
It was just so sad.
Oh my goodness. Like, I'm not super interested in government, but like, it's not that boring.
I had
mean-
McBride for American government.
That would have, oh my
That was
goodness.
It was
I'm
much
so
better, I'm
jealous.
assuming. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I had Mr. Smith for economics, and economics is boring to me, but Mr. Smith made it actually somewhat entertaining.
Oh,
But
Mr.
it was a relief after Mr. Zyla.
Mr.
that
Crockett
semester of
was
mine.
one teacher that you
I never
never
had Mr. Crockett.
He had a little bit of a lisp, which you would think would be irritating, but it was okay. It just was interesting. He I don't know how to explain him. He wasn't very memorable. He was just kind of like the normal boring teacher. Oh, I know it doesn't really involve Rebecca much, but it kind of does. This is so weird having a woman Bible teacher. Now that I'm in an actual Christian, well, not an actual Christian school, but
No, I think that's accurate.
yeah, that's probably.
That would be a correct characterization.
Let me just say a
ma'am.
non-denominational Christian school.
Which
So,
most schools are.
Yeah.
Most Christian schools are non-denominational.
Yeah.
Except for the one I went to. Calvary Baptist Church School, until we changed the name to make it non-denominational.
Elective wise.
What?
So, what does this have to do with Rebecca?
I'm trying to. Miss Autry?
Miss Autry, as
Was-
in your favorite
Oh,
elective
okay.
teacher.
Got it.
I'm talking
Got it.
about her.
Alright. Sorry.
Miss
I
Armstrong.
didn't get electives.
Oh my, Miss Armstrong. Oh my. Good gravy. Miss Armstrong was one of the worst teachers I had.
She was like a step
Was that the
above
typing
Mr.
one?
No.
No. Typing, she was pretty boring too. She would just like randomly go on tangents about her cat and like never come back to the lesson and just end it. Which, I mean, we were just typing and practicing and stuff like that, but I don't even remember her name. But yeah, that was Miss Armstrong.
She was our
Is.
family consumer sciences teacher. She taught us to freeze everything. She taught us
Okay,
to
that was
Make
entertaining.
make your Christmas cookies in
Christmas
May
cookies in May.
and freeze them,
Freeze them until
Christmas
December.
time.
If you are running, I'm not
Save
gonna.
time.
I'm gonna use a different analogy than the one that just came to mind. But if you are running that tight a schedule coming up toward Christmas, you need to loosen up your panties somewhere. Because you should not.
And you didn't want to use
What was the analogy
The
you
other
wanted to-
analogy.
You should not be baking your Christmas cookies in May under any circumstances.
But she told us
Oh
to
my goodness.
freeze everything.
Yeah, freeze everything.
Everything.
Absolutely
Just
everything
freeze
is
it.
frozen.
Freeze it. Freeze everything.
The only thing I agree with is cookie dough. Because cookie dough actually gets better after you freeze it, but not if you freeze
But not
it
for super long. It
6
only
months.
needs to be in there for
That's-
about 24 hours, and then it's
right.
perfect. Pull it out and bake it. Come on.
Yeah. But
Get
I
over
mean, you
yourself.
can also like make a batch of cookie dough, like Rach Loves does, and freeze it, and then make 3 cookies for your family every night or whatever. So
yeah,
it's fresh
I
baked
found out
cookies.
that's a common thing.
Yeah.
I asked
guess.
Facebook, who has ever made a single batch of cookie dough? I think I did that on my business page. It was ages ago. I was like, has anyone ever in the history of mankind? Because when we do cookie dough, we always at least double the recipe.
Usually
At
tripled
least.
or quadrupled, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, what? And then I guess several people are like, no, I make it and freeze it, and then I'll bake like 3 or 4 cookies at a time. For people, it's just them and their husband, or a smaller family, or whatever. Or a family that's a little more healthy than ours. Anyway, another rabbit trail. What do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are our father's daughters.
I think that's it for my favorite teachers. I mean, yeah.
We should have split this up into favorite teachers and then like least favorite teachers.
Yeah.
We really should have, shouldn't we?
This is really long. Oh my.
This might need to
probably-
be
It might
part
need to be
3.
part 3.
Part
You have
3.
now been listening to part
Quite a
3
while
for
now.
quite some time. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. We're sorry.
It's also 1 a.m. and I have
Is it?
basketball practice.
Oh.
So,
It is definitely 1 a.m. and I have to be up in like 4 hours.
I was
Why?
debating on the fact, would I
Work.
sleep in or would I get up at the normal time and just do normal stuff, but I'm gonna sleep in till the last minute.
That's my motto in life.
And then I'm gonna have coffee. And then
Your
I'm gonna
motto?
work off
My motto.
Your motto in life.
Yes.
What is your motto in life? Was your mic on?
Yeah, it was.
And
You
what was it? It
almost
was
set
this-
me up for a horrible dad joke.
It was the sleep in till
Sleep
the last
until
minute.
the last minute.
What's the dad joke?
You ask what's a motto, and I say
What's a
nothing.
motto?
What's a motto with you?
Oh boy.
Finger guns are happening at the moment.
Oh dear. Finger gun.
Finger
Finger
gun.
gun. Finger guns. Okay.
That's truly terrible.
It's 1 a.m.
Mhm.
and I am
It
not
most
funny,
definitely is.
So moving on. See, it's so unfunny. It's funnily unfunny.
What's our
I
next
can't
episode?
anymore.
I forgot.
We were going to talk about hunting.
Were we?
Yeah.
Really?
Not tonight.
What was our? Are you sure that was our next episode?
We
idea?
have 3 episodes. We have
Well, yeah.
a Becca part 1, a Becca part 2, and a Becca part 3.
Well, I know that, but I was talking about like what was our next? Are you sure it was hunting? I thought it was something different. Really?
Somebody did not listen during our agenda meeting.
Well, we had an agenda meeting.
Somebody was not listening during the agenda meeting.
I don't think there was an agenda meeting. This is fake news.
Somebody was not listening
There
during
was
the
an
agenda
agenda
meeting.
meeting.
There was
Where
an
was the
agenda meeting
agenda
that
meeting?
started with my saying, so, the agenda is...
Oh.
Something like that.
Ah,
I wasn't listening to
it
the
happened
listening
right
either.
before we
Yes.
started recording. Go figure.
Huh.
You
Interesting.
mentioned that we were gonna do music
Yeah.
as part of our next topic.
Mhm.
So we need to close this out.
Yeah. Good thing I don't need the bathroom. What? What?
Did you just say crap on a...
Yeah. It's one of the things I started saying as a joke and now cannot stop. So I think I picked it up from Makara Tours.
So, homeschooled cussing, episode 4. Oh my goodness. That's really good, but really bad at the same time. I really think it's time to end this because we are fast slipping into temporary insanity. And you're the one who had Coke.
I'm so tired.
Okay,
I'm not gonna
so
sleep
I'm gonna
well.
close this out before we get any wackier than we already are. This was an extremely long series of episodes about our Rebecca experience, particularly our teachers. We were gonna talk our favorite teachers, and it just ended up being an
Buried
analysis.
somewhere in there.
I'm done.
And then
Goodbye. If anyone needs me, I'll be on the porch.
an analysis of all of our favorite teachers, or all of our teachers, period. Cassandra has left. So, we're gonna wrap this up. Anyway, that was what that was. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I'm sorry if you didn't. There will be other topics. We won't
Well, you
probably
would've
talk about a bunch
left
more
a
homeschool
long
stuff, because
time
that
ago.
pretty well covered it. We'll
Hey,
we'll
Autumn,
talk some more.
Can you comment if you're still here?
Why are you talking over me?
Comment popcorn. What?
We're not doing the stupid YouTube stuff.
I don't care.
We have never once asked anyone to like or subscribe or click the bell notification.
Which
to
is
receive
probably
notifications
why we
whenever
don't have
do
anyone
that,
doing any of
ever.
those things.
We don't do that.
No. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, but we never say
All
it.
right.
Yeah, so we're
I'm ending this.
yes.
So,
So if you want to hear,
let us know if you want more homeschool stuff, because we can come up with more homeschool stuff. But we
Yeah.
can also
How
quit
many
with the
years
homeschool
combined
stuff.
of homeschool? I'm yelling into my mic. I'm sorry. How many
So am
years
I, kinda.
combined did we homeschool? Because I had
Quick math break.
I had
I
13
did
years of homeschool.
12 years, right? No,
12
11
grade.
years. Kindergarten.
You had 11
through
years.
10th grade.
Yeah.
I had 9 years homeschooled.
13 plus 11 is 24.
Yes, even at 1
24.
a.m.
Plus 9
That's no.
33.
is 33. And then Caleb was, what, 7 or 8? So it's
That
probably
would be.
He'd be more than me because
He'd
he
be
was
more-
younger.
He would
and
be.
Yeah.
He would be
So,
11.
So it was 40.
yeah, he'd be 11 years
Mhm.
homeschooled.
44?
Yeah, 44
44
from
years
33.
combined in our family of homeschool expertise.
Experience. Yeah.
I
So,
don't
yeah.
know if that's how it works.
Yeah, that's how it
Oh,
works.
that's how it
Yes,
works.
That's how it works.
Okay.
Business partners, 27 years combined experience in this field. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's
Mhm.
how it works.
Interesting. That doesn't seem exactly logical.
It makes
It's
sense.
not logical, but it makes you sound better. So
Yes, it
that's what
does.
we're going to go with.
We are experts.
So this group of nursery, this group in nursery has 20 cumulative years of life experience.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly
that's
how
how
it
it
works. That is exactly how it works. Be careful if you're hiring a company, how many business partners do they have? Divide their
We
years
have
experience.
57 business partners and 40 years of expertise in
Exactly.
the field.
And the dude helping you has a negative experience. Anyway, we are digressing so quickly. So, we're going to
Remember,
keep
comment,
doing...
popcorn,
That should be our
everything's down
title
there.
for the podcast. We are digressing so quickly.
So, I'm going to wrap up very quickly.
You said
Let's see
that
if we
10
can
minutes ago.
focus. Yeah, and I keep getting interrupted.
Really?
So,
Did you?
yes.
Are you sure?
We're going to keep doing these podcasts,
You've
but
lost
let
the art
us
of
know
railroading,
what topics you want.
and I have acquired it.
This is terrible.
You're welcome.
Let us know what topics you want to hear about. Do you want more homeschool stuff? Because we can do more homeschool stuff. We were also talking about doing hunting, which you kind of heard, and a bunch of other stuff. And we can do you want goofy podcasts or do you want serious podcasts? Do you want a little bit of both? We can do anything you want to do,
We have
long
lots
as
of
it's
rants
legal.
We can do.
We have a lot of
opinions
rants.
We can
Yes.
angrily yell into a microphone for 70 hours for.
So,
People subscribe
we would
for
prefer
that
not
kind
to
of
do
thing.
that all the time, but
Not that you should.
if you want, and we can do thoughtful type, educational type podcasts too. So, let us know what you're thinking, and then video ideas too. We're not going to stop doing videos. But
We have at
podcasts,
the moment, but
we don't have to
Wash my hair for
we don't have to
podcasts.
look good in podcasts. So that's why they have kind of an advantage at the moment.
although I always look good. So.
But we hope you enjoyed this series of Was your mic on for that?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Well, there's a mirror right here. You can't
So-
really ignore the fact.
I am appalled. I'm shocked and horrified. So we're gonna wrap this up. Hopefully you enjoyed that series, that 3-part series on our Rebecca homeschool experience and teachers. If you were Rebecca homeschooled, maybe you shared some of those experiences. I hope not on some of them.
Autumn had a classmate that became our teacher. So, that's at least
That's
one
funny.
connection.
Okay, so we're gonna peace out on this. Yep, it's 1 a.m. Okay,
You won't let me say yeet, but you'll say peace out.
you said yeet. I get a pass. So, anyway, this has been Sar PODCAST. We're sorry.
Go-to source for utter nonsense.
Absolutely. So this is a little bit about our homeschool experience. Hopefully you kind of enjoyed hearing us ramble, and then as the time we're on, really
And enjoying
ramble.
us interrupting each other.
Yeah, we're very good at it, apparently. So I think we're done here. Cassie, you were going to say something?
I was going to say we never learned the don't talk until you raise your hand skill. So,
Homeschooled. Anyway. Okay. We're going to close this out. Hopefully you enjoyed. Let us know what you want to hear. Sar Podcastic out.
Peace.
Peace. Oh my. That's a wrap, folks.